يا أبا صالح.
Brothers and sisters, every ma'asum has mentioned the 12th Imam. It's not that it was Imam al-Askari, time is running out, so I'll tell people about the Mahdi. Imam after Imam, there is a conversation, there are descriptions, there are discussions made about the 12th Imam. I'll share with you a hadith from the Holy Prophet and all of the Imams, just so we understand how central the topic of the Mahdi is in Islamic theology. There's a hadith from the Holy Prophet where he says, Al-Mahdi rajulun min wuldi, that the Mahdi is a man from my progeny. وَجْهُهُ كَالْكَوْكَبِ الدُّرِّي, his face is like a full moon. When you go outside at night, your eye is immediately attracted to what? The moon. When you see a full moon, you just want to look at it. There's a beauty that draws you to the moon. Rasulullah, he's telling us that the Mahdi is from my progeny. When you see him, there is a spiritual beauty to him that when you're in his presence, you can't take your eyes off of him. There's a jamal, there's a beauty to him. This is what the Holy Prophet says. What does Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam say about the Mahdi? He says, there's a hadith where Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Imam al-Husayn, قال أمير المؤمنين للحسين التاسع من ولدك يا حسين هو القائم. O my son Hussein, your 9th grandson is the awaited one, is the qa'im. Al-qa'im bil-haq, he will rise up with truth, because at that time batil and haq will be intermingled. It will be hard to distinguish truth from falsehood. Al-mudhiru lid-deen, he will be the one to make Islam prevail. Today when you mention the word Islam, it inspires fear in people. The 12th Imam will introduce an Islam to people that everyone will flock to. Al-basit lil-adl, he will rule with justice. He will be able to establish peace because he's just. Because justice is a prerequisite for peace. This is what the first Imam says. What does Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, and I'm only giving you one. Each Imam has many ahadith about the 12th Imam. Imam al-Mujtaba alayhi salam, what does he say? أَمَا عَلِمْتُمْ أَنَّهُمَا مِنَّا أَحَدٌ إِلَّا وَيَقَعُ فِي عَقِبِهِ بَيْعَةٌ لِطَاغِيَةِ زَمَانِهِ. Imam al-Hasan, he says, don't you know that every single Imam was forced to live under a zalim? Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Hasan, there's always a zalim who is coercing them to not rise up. Illa al-qa'im, except the 12th Imam. There will be no bay'ah that is forced upon him because he's in ghayba. الذي يصلي روح الله عيسى ابن مريم خلفه. The only one among us who will not have allegiance forced upon him to a tyrant is the qa'im. The same qa'im, the same Imam who Jesus, son of Mary, the Spirit of God, will pray behind. What does Imam al-Husayn salawatullahi alayhi say about the 12th Imam? He says, لو قام المهدي, when the Mahdi reappears, لأنكره الناس, there will be many people who will reject him. Why? لأنه يرجع إليهم شابا وهم يحسبونه شيخا كبيرا. There will be many who will reject the Imam Why? Imam Hussein says because when he reappears, he will look youthful, and people will expect someone elderly. Can you imagine how superficial some people's iman is? They will reject the imam. They say, oh, too many, he doesn't have any gray hair in his beard. See the ignorance of some people? Imam Hussein says some will reject him because they say, we're expecting an old man, 1400 years old, 50. There should be at least a gray hair. They say, but no, he will appear youthful when the Imam ﷺ makes his advent. What does Imam Zainul Abidin say? Do you know, brothers and sisters, Imam Zainul Abidin mentioned the 12th Imam when he was in Sham, and he gave that famous khutbah in the presence of Yazid. What does the Imam say? أُعْطِينَا سِتًّا وَفُضِّلْنَا بِسَبْعٍ. We, Ahlul Bayt, we have been given 6 virtues and we have been honored with 7 merits. أُعْطِينَا الْعِلْمَ وَالْحِلْمَ وَالسَّمَاحَ وَالْفَصَاحَ وَالشَّجَاعَ وَالْمَحَبَّةَ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. We have been given knowledge, patience, leniency, courage, bravery, and the love in the hearts of the believers. وَفُضِّلْنَا بِسَبْعٍ. And we have been honored with 7. بِأَنَّ مِنَّا النَّبِيَّ الْمُخْتَارِ. From us is the chosen messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. وَمِنَّا الصِّدِّيقِ, a reference to Amir al-Mu'mineen. وَمِنَّا الطَّيَّارِ, a reference to Ja'far al-Tayyar. وَمِنَّا أَسَدُ اللَّهِ وَأَسَدُ رَسُولِهِ, a reference to Hamza. وَمِنَّا سَيِّدَةُ النِّسَاءِ, and from us is the lady Fatima. وَمِنَّا سِبْطَيْ هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ, and from us are the 2 honorable grandsons. And then what does Imam Zain al-Abidin say? وَمِنَّا مَهْدِيُّ هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ, and from us is the Mahdi of this ummah. Imam Zain al-Abidin mentions the 12th Imam in Sham. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, what does he say? Ya Aba Hamza. In the month of Ramadan, inshallah, we read Dua Abu Hamza al-Thumali. Imam al-Baqir is having a conversation with Abu Hamza al-Thumali. He says, Ya Aba Hamza, min al-mahtum alladhi hatamahu Allah. O Abu Hamza, among the certain things that will happen that Allah has decreed, قِيَامُ قَائِمِنَا, the rising of the Qa'im of Ahlul Bayt. فَمَنْ شَكَّ فِيهَا فِيمَا أَقُولُ, whoever doubts in what I am saying, that from us there will be an Imam who will rise up, لَقَى اللَّهَ وَهُوَ بِهِ كَافِرٌ. The Imam says anyone who denies this or doubts this reality will meet Allah Azza wa Jal on the Day of Judgment as a disbeliever. This is how fundamental and how core the belief in the Mahdi is. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq also mentioned the Imam. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq has many ahadith, especially about the ghayb, and inshallah we'll speak about this. He says, من أقر بجميع الأئمة وجحد المهدي. If someone believes in all of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, but they deny and reject the Imamah of the 12th Imam, Imam al-Sadiq says, كان كمن أقر بجميع الأنبياء وجحد محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, he says, if you believe in all of the Imams, but you reject the final Imam, it is like believing in 123,999 prophets, but you reject Rasulullah. Does this Iman have any value? Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam, what does he say? طوبى لشيعتنا المتمسكين بحبنا في غيبة قائمنا. Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, he says, how fortunate are our followers, the ones who hold on to our the ghayba. What does it mean to hold on to our love? If today is the Shahada of Imam al-Hadi, and you're in Disney World or you're in the theater, can you really claim to be a lover of Ahlul Bayt? If there's a community member that you're close to, a relative, and they had a death in the family, are you going to go to a theme park? When it's the 25th of December and you come and you say, is it permissible for me to celebrate Christmas? This is the birth of Jesus, the great prophet of Allah. If you're a lover, your celebration on the 17th of Rabi'ul Awwal should be more grand. Your celebration on the 15th of Sha'ban should be greater, because that is the birth of the man who prays in front of the one who you want to celebrate and you're asking about. Love of Ahlul Bayt, brothers and sisters, is to emulate them. It's to follow them. But how can you follow them if we don't know anything about them? Ahlul Bayt have become strangers in our lives. We know more about the stats of baseball players, basketball players, football players than we know about our Imams. Munkar and Nakir are not going to ask you about, how many touchdowns did this quarterback have. Munkar and Nakir are going to ask you about Imam al-Sadiq, Imam al-Baqir, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. What does Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam say? Continuing our discussion. An Abu Salt. Abu Salt was one of the companions of Imam al-Ridha. He asks Imam Ali ibn Musa, ما علامة القائم منكم إذا خرج? What is the sign of the Qa'im when he reappears? The Imam alayhi salam, he says, one of the signs, علامته أن يكون شيخ السن شاب المنظر. One of the signs is that the Imam will be old age-wise, but he will appear youthful. حتى الناظر إليه ليحسبه ابن 40 سنة. So much so that when you look at the Imam, you will think that he is 40 years old or even younger than the age of 40. وإن علاماته أن لا يهرم بمرور الأيام والليالي حتى يأتيه أجله. And the sign, one of the signs that he is the Mahdi, is that years, decades will go by and he will not age. He will not age. Imam al-Jawad, salawatullahi alayhi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa alayhi. He says, إِنَّ الْقَائِمَ مِنَّا هُوَ الْمَهْدِي. The Imam who will rise up, qa'im means to literally stand. Why? Because all of the other Imams were not able to rise because of lack of support. If you think about it, how many Imams actually rose and fought other than Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? The others did not. Amir al-Mu'mineen was in power, but the other Imams, they had to sit, they had to stay, they couldn't rise up. Why? The primary reason why is because people talk about religion, but when it comes time for action, everybody runs away. Everybody runs away. Today, as an example, how many of us say, Ya laytana kunna ma'akum to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? But how many of us would actually go to Iraq and fight in Hashd al-Sha'bi? Very few. That's why Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, what does he say? الناس عبيد الدنيا. People are slaves of this worldly life. They're really servants of dunya. What is religion? وَالدِّينُ لَاحِقٌ عَلَىٰ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. Religion is something that's on people's tongues. This is Imam Hussein's assessment of you and I. He says religion is something that people like to talk about. We like to give a majlis, we like to listen to a majlis, we like to talk, have debates, discussions. الناس عبيد الدنيا والدين لاحق على ألسنتهم فإذا محصوا بالبلاء. When Allah puts them through trials and tribulations, Imam Hussein says the people of deen are very few in number. When my interests are in jeopardy, that's when I step back. I will pray, I will fast, as long as my lifestyle is not disturbed. As long as I get to keep my money and I get to live in a comfortable house, and I am not in any danger, I love Islam. But after the death of Rasulullah, when certain individuals usurp the Khilaf and Amir al-Mu'minin says, come on, support me, they'll go to the masjid and pray with Amir al-Mu'minin, because praying doesn't cost anything. But when you have to make sacrifice, when you actually have to detach yourself from dunya, that's when the people of dunya, the people of deen are very few. Imam al-Jawani says, إِنَّ الْقَائِمَ مِنَّا هُوَ الْمَهْدِي. The one who will rise up because he will finally have enough support will be the Mahdi. الَّذِي يَجِبُ أَن يُنْتَظَرُ فِي غَيْبَتِي. It will be wajib upon people to wait. You see, brothers and sisters, Intidhar al-faraj is wajib upon us. It's an action. It's not just sitting and waiting for the Imam to reappear as if he's a superhero. There's active waiting. Intidhar is wajib. And then he says, وَيُطَاعُ فِي ظُهُورِ. When he reappears, you will have to obey him. Imam al-Hadi also mentioned the 12th Imam. He says, إِنَّ الْإِمَامَ بَعْدِي الْحَسَنِ. Imam al-Hadi says, the Imam after me is Imam al-Hasan al-Askari. وَبَعْدَ الْحَسَنِ. After Imam al-Askari, إِبْنُهُ الْقَائِمِ. After my son Imam al-Askari, the Qa'im will be the Imam الَّذِي يَمْلَأُ الْأَرْضَ قِسْطًا وَعَدْلًا كَمَا مُلِئَتْ ظُلْمًا وَجَوْرًا. He will be the one who will achieve the dream of prophets. Every prophet that was sent, what was their primary objective? To establish justice on the individual level and the societal level. And justice starts with the self. The greatest injustice against the human soul is shirk. That's why all prophets, they denounce shirk, because this is the root of all dhulm. Begins with the self. The Imam will fill the earth with justice and equity after it has been filled with injustice and tyranny. And inshallah, in the subsequent nights, we will ask the question that's on all of your minds. How much dhulm is enough dhulm? I'm sure after World War II, after 50 million people lost their lives, probably people in our community are saying, for sure the Imam has to reappear. It's World War, bloodshed everywhere, but the Imam didn't reappear. So what is this dhulm that has to become widespread for the Imam to reappear? It must be a specific type of dhulm that Rasulullah and the Imams are speaking of. What does Imam al-Askari alayhi salam say about the 12th Imam? He says, Alhamdulillah alladhi lam yukhrijni min ad-dunya hatta arani al-khalaf min ba'di. Imam al-Askari alayhi salam, do you know how old he was when he was martyred? 28 years old. There are some of us who are... Praise be to Allah who Imam gives of his son. He says, بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ, also described as أشبه الناس خلقا وخلقا, علي al-Akbar. If you look at this hadith, Imam al-Askari is saying Imam al-Hujjah resembles Rasulullah. What did Rasulullah look like? We have many descriptions about the appearance of the Prophet. Many people say, how am I going to know that this is the Mahdi, the one who the Holy Prophet prophesied? Ask yourself, when he reappears, is he ashbahun nas khalqan wa khuluqan? Be familiar with the physical characteristics of the Prophet as mentioned in the hadith, but more importantly, you need to be familiar with the ethics of Rasulullah. You need to know the akhlaq of Rasulullah to be able to say, yeah, this man has the akhlaq of Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi.
Allahumma kull waliyya